Hey everyone, welcome to Prince as a Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episode 4 of The Imperfects. So, as I have stated last time and everything, we are still kind of going with the by episode 5 rule, by halfway through the season, or series, I guess, since it was canceled, um, to really determine if it's something I want to continue into the second half. And as I pointed out, the reason for this is because I I find myself losing not interest in the series because I really enjoy the series, but motivation to continue because I know this series ends. And based on just these first few episodes we've done, I really feel like this series needs more than one season to really get its story out. I I I don't know how things are like obviously paced throughout the entirety of this season. I don't know where they go with it all. But with all these different plot threads we have, I just don't see how this can be concluded in a one and done. So, on top of that, plus just on top of the fact that I'm losing motivation just in general because I know it was canceled before its time, it's been one of those cases where, excuse me, as I've said, if by the midway point I'm still feeling unsure about it, that's a sign that I probably need to drop it. Um, so the midway point by the end of episode 5 is my limit, but honestly, I'm starting to feel like it's probably just going to be by the end of this episode. And I hate to say that before we even watch the episode, but the problem here is like it's been like what, 3 weeks since we last did a reaction to this? And before that, it was, I think, pretty much the same 2 to 3 weeks in between. And don't get me wrong, I've said before that with our unscheduled format on the channel, we can do stuff like this where we miss a week or two on certain things. I understand. I understand that, and I did. That was a major point I was trying to get across with this, but at the same time, there's still something that leaves me unmotivated and dissatisfied when I am spending 2 to 3 weeks not getting to it. Not because I'm choosing to, but because I just have no motivation to get to it at times. That in turn brings down my motivation even more, and I kind of have to force myself to get to it. And I've said in the past, I don't like having to force myself to get to shows because it usually breeds a certain resentment for the series for me. And when that happens, it makes me more likely to just drop a show, even if it's something I would normally enjoy. And I want to make it clear, like with each episode I do watch of this, I do enjoy it. Like, I'm not disliking this series by any means. I'm very much enjoying it. I like the actors. I think the story is interesting. I like the supernatural elements. Excuse me. My biggest issue is just, again, kind of in my head. Just because of what I know. And so, it's like, you kind of think it would be better to just not know. But that's only partially true because if I went into this just not knowing that it was canceled and then finished the season and then found out after, honestly, I would just be upset. It would make me angry. Like, yeah, I would get through the season, probably, but I would be left dissatisfied and probably would start checking shows to make sure they're not canceled in the first place more often. Which could lead me to ignoring some really great shows that, even while canceled, really do it for me. I mean, Dead End Paranormal Park ended up getting canceled, and I loved that series. If I had avoided it, after, like if I had started to check it out after it got canceled, and I had heard about that, I the same thing could have happened to me, where I just started losing interest because of that. I don't know, but I don't like that kind of risk. So it's like, kind of part of you says like, oh, it would be better if you just didn't know, but then there's part of you that says like, but knowing at least helps you be prepared for it rather than getting like blindsided by it later on. So it's complicated. We'll see what happens. That's all I can say. But by the midway point, if not this time, then by the next episode, I will make a decision. And no matter what, when we finish the show, whether we end up dropping it or whether we end up finishing it, we are still going back to Vox Machina. That is still the plan. So, last time, in the actual last episode, our trio basically got kidnapped. They were taken hostage by some rogue scientists who wanted to sell them for money, basically. And these rogue scientists had already experimented on another one of these test subjects, who is now dead. And the rogue scientists are now dead because of Abby using her fear. Well, not just solely because of Abby. They all kind of had a part to play in it. And it was pretty wild how each of them were taken out. The one that bothered me the most is still the one girl who slit her throat because of the pheromones and everything, because she was like told like that she would never be good enough for Abby, and then she's just like committed suicide because of it. It's like, Jesus fuck. It's like, that is very upsetting. Yeah. Because there's multiple layers to that. It's not even just the fact that she like slit her own throat and everything. It's the reasons why. It's the fact that she was being basically mind controlled, completely against her will. And we know that they are conscious while all this is happening. I think I brought this up last time. But just imagine that. You are not in control of your body. You're just basically a passenger watching. And suddenly your controlled body and mind kills you, with you not being able to stop it, with you being completely helpless. That would be fucking terrifying. That would be one of the scariest possible things. Like, just the concept of not being in control of your body, but being conscious of that fact, is already freaking terrifying. Like, having no sense of literal body autonomy is scary. It's a genuinely scary concept. So add in the fact that the body then kills you while being controlled like this, and it's just like, no. It's like my fears. This shit freaks me the hell out. And I say that as a positive, by the way, which sounds fucking weird, but like I said before, even with my lack of motivation with this series and everything, I've been very much enjoying it. And while last episode got freaky, it was still really good and engaging. What does that say about me, I guess? You guys know I'm into weird shit. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, it's just I enjoy the kind of like crazy, scary, freaky type of content that makes me kind of shiver sometimes because it's entertaining. And I understand that it's a way to experience shit like this in a safe manner, honestly. Because that's kind of the appeal of horror. And this series is not strictly horror, but it does delve into that for sure. And last episode was a great example of that. But that's kind of the appeal of horror to pretty much anyone who really enjoys it. The idea that it's experiencing horrific stuff in a safe environment to where it gives you like this pump of chemicals that just heightens your awareness, it heightens your excitement, it makes you super just intensely focused on everything. It just brings up all of these heavy feelings and then gives you this just massive boost of happy chemicals after, because it needs to bring you down from that moment of heart racing fear. And that's why a lot of people who are really into horror, even if it really scares them, keep going back because it makes them feel good. And that's a genuine thing. That's not just me like hypothesizing or anything. No, it's actually a genuine thing that it makes you feel good. And of course, everyone's different and different people experience it differently. But yeah, it boosts your mood and does so, again, with experiencing this kind of thing in a safe manner. Horror is pretty cool. um, but for me, at least, that also makes me a little judgy when it comes to a lot of horror. I tend to be a bit picky sometimes with horror. Like, there's a lot of horror movies that just don't impress me. And unfortunately, it seems to be just a rising number. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of horror movies that I do enjoy. It's definitely more in the negative, though. But I still enjoy them, even if I don't end up liking it. It's like I still enjoy checking them out. It's still always worth it to give it a chance and see what we got. So let's do so with this episode. Great transition, 100%. Let us see what this episode has in store for us. Let's see what we're going to tackle today in terms of our characters. And we'll go from there. Excuse me. That's all I can basically promise right now. We'll go from there. And hopefully, we have positive news at the end. But for now, let's just get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. You see, I'm continuously conflicted on this series because it's like every episode I watch, I genuinely enjoy, like a lot. Like I feel even saying enjoy is minimizing it a little bit. Um, every one of these that I watch, I love. The stories, the way the characters are portrayed by these various actors, the excitement, the intensity behind certain scenes, the new powered characters we get, like Owen in this one. It's like I'm really enjoying this. But at the same time, it's this weird blend because I also, while enjoy it, don't feel motivated to keep getting to it any quicker though. It's like I come into this, I react to an episode, I really, really enjoy it, and then I don't watch any more for a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks or so. And it's like, yeah, I could continue doing that, but is that fair to you guys? Because I know there's some of you waiting for the return of Vox Machina and all. I know that. And I admit that part of my reasoning for thinking about dropping this and maybe watching it on my own time, honestly, definitely watching it on my own time. But part of my reason for thinking about dropping it has been to get back to that sooner because I know a lot of you are waiting for that. But at the same time, it's like every time I watch one of these episodes, I want to continue because I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching them. I'm enjoying reacting to them. So it's like it's this really heavy confliction. Like there was some great stuff this episode between Owen and his powers being introduced. You have Juan transforming into Chupi and actually remembering transforming into him, and also biting off the fucker's nose, which, okay. Considering the dude was clearly about to kill his niece, yeah, that's fair. And it's wild too. Like this dude is like so upset, so angry at Juan. It's like, dude, you were about to kill his niece. He had a right to defend her. That's on you, not him. But then on top of it, it's like you have just all the other mysteries continuing to be brought up. Hannah comes to visit them and finds out that the one doctor was killed. Brian, I think his name was. I don't remember his last name right now. And you have the building relationships between the characters. Oh, excuse me. Just all this wild shit going down that just makes it so interesting and fun and entertaining and exciting. It just leaves me conflicted. And I've been saying that I'm gonna decide by episode 5. And I mean, I've got to, right? Because it's like I can't decide now. I'm so conflicted on this that I don't feel like I can make that decision right now. But I also feel like I already know the answer as well. It's really it's a lot to deal with. But I feel like it's like every time I watch these episodes, I'm gonna like want to watch more. But again, it's like just that motivation is going to make it be weeks between. But what I'm thinking at the moment is that I'm probably gonna continue it. it's just going to be one of those reactions that last there that take longer or something. I don't know. It's just I don't like having to basically force myself to get to. I have to basically like, we're doing this whether you like it or not, to myself. And it just it's such a weird thing because it's like, even with other shows I've reacted to where I've like had, to force myself to react to something because I had not enough motivation to get to it consistently. Um, Even with other stuff like that, it's never really felt this conflicting. This is so actively hard to figure out what to do here that it's throwing me off. I genuinely don't know how to handle this. Because it's like, let's say I choose to continue. Right? I choose to continue, and then it's just going to be 2 to 3 weeks pretty much every time. Not necessarily intentionally, but because that's just when I end up getting motivated to get to more episodes. If these first 4 episodes are any, sign of that. If I choose to drop it and watch it on my own time, I'm going to miss reacting to it. Because I'm enjoying reacting to it. Every time I watch a new episode, I enjoy doing so. So it's like, what now? Which route do I take? Which route is better? Because I don't want to keep you guys waiting forever for more Vox Machina. But I also don't want to quit something that I am genuinely enjoying. I guess we really will have to wait till the next episode to fully determine. But, like I said, I will make that decision by the end of the episode 5 redirect. One way or the other, that will be decided on. But to just talk briefly more about the actual episode, I like that Juan is patching things up with his family, specifically his brother. It's very clear that they care greatly about each other, but that, they've had a falling out. And that can happen with family. They had a falling out. It got to the point where his brother doesn't really think he can trust him. And let's be honest, Juan is just kind of lashing back in self-defense, basically. But he also feels underappreciated at the same time. So, excuse me. So we've got notable issues to deal with. And in the end, Juan basically just proves himself through watching his niece. And, fair enough. He proves himself trustworthy to his brother again. His brother has seen that he's changing, becoming more responsible and whatnot. But if only he knew what had happened. Honestly, if he knew what had happened, yeah, they would probably never be talking to each other again. To be fair, though, he did save Paloma. Like, that's undeniable. He saved her life. So, yeah. I really did like Owen as a character. Like, I like the idea of characters who are genuinely good people, but who can get corrupted through their powers or sources beyond their control. And we got that, like, for sure with him. He is a notably good person, genuinely. but his powers cause him to enter this kind of aggression, and seemingly it seems like basically chloroform is his kryptonite, as it's been put, his big weakness, the thing that can bring him out of it. But that's also dangerous, so, Burke made some medicine for him that'll work the same. Um, but yeah, I'm glad that he is just a genuinely good person who is trying to help and who is genuinely trying to be a hero for the sake of helping people. Uh, but also, I'm glad that he's not part of the group. If I'm being honest, his dangerous side to him, as well as, let's be honest, he's a little annoying, makes him a risk. And we don't need that, interfering with the group at all. But it is interesting that his invulnerability isn't just in terms of physical, that it also, works with, things like, Abby's, pheromones. So it's a really interesting power. Unfortunately, Tilda was also not helping the situation by being kind of antagonistic towards him. That is how she just is. That's just Tilda. But at the same time, it's yeah, that wasn't helping matters. Oh, excuse me. So this government agency and all is gonna be the biggest problem here. Especially now that Sponson specifically wants Juan dead. Because he's upsetty spaghetti about his nose. And I use that term to make fun of him. Because, one, he deserves it. Two, and more importantly, he's being kind of a baby about this. It's don't get me wrong, losing your nose would fucking suck. That would be fucking terrible. But let's be honest, you're the reason that he did that to you, dude. It's this is on you. You're gonna try to blame him for defending his niece? You were going after her with a gun. She's what, 12? Maybe not even? It's yeah, he was in the right to defend her. You don't have a right to get pissy over him biting your nose off when you were about to kill a young girl because she was a witness. It's he's such a little snot. And it's sad, honestly. It's you are a grown-ass man. Fucking act like it. Don't get me wrong, I can be pretty childish and silly at times. But that's fucking ridiculous. If you do something bad, you can't get upset at something bad happening to you. That's just karma. I don't even believe in karma that much, and it's that just makes sense. That's equivalent exchange, if you will. I'm watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood with a couple reactors, so it's you really can't get upset at something like that happening to you when you're about to kill a kid. It's you waive your rights to be upset at that point. But government's gonna government, all of that jazz. So yeah, this was a really good episode again. But again, it leaves me so conflicted because it's I want so badly, so genuinely badly, to continue reacting to this. But at the same time, it's these weeks between is killer. Because you know, unless like I somehow get the motivation to do so, you're not going to see another episode of this year. I know that's like only a couple weeks, but yeah, that's the point. Unless I somehow get some random motivation to do more out of nowhere, this is the last Imperfects for the year. So it's like, how much longer does this have to take? Do we? Because we're not even halfway through the series, technically speaking. That's next episode that will be halfway through. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know, but we will make a final determination by next episode. We'll make a final determination. We'll figure it out for sure. And I will let you know. But like I said, that probably won't be till next year. So just tune into the next one for the final say on that, one way or the other. But in the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode? Let me know, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.